You are able to see the slide, right? Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we will begin the class. Uh, what happened is I wanted to do some analysis. So I began this analysis on Saturday. Saturday I started it, and it took me a very long time to finally figure out how to whatever lecture in this we are deriving. It took that much time. Like yesterday, day before yesterday, I was working on this. Um so just let me start this. So we will be discussing about force transfer in eccentric tendons. So for pre-tension members. So first thing is I'll go through the derivation. So this is the derivation I had at this point of time. Maybe after some time, maybe after today or tomorrow, maybe that derivation can be simplified further. So for now, let's have this derivation. So we will relate the hydraulic jerk force P superscript naught with the force which is transferred after hydraulic jerk force is removed. So that is given by P small naught, subscript naught. So we'll find out the relation between those two forces. Okay. So initially applied force and what is the final force which is transferred. So we'll find that. Then we'll solve a simple example where we'll apply it's a numerical, so we'll understand, get a feel of the numbers. So there is another alternate approach. I don't have slides for that. We will discuss tomorrow. Okay, so let's begin. So we have a beam. Okay, and this beam is made of concrete, and we have this steel tendon. So initially we have only the steel tendon of some given length, and then we apply a tensile load on the tendon. As a result, the tendon will extend by some small amount. So these small dashed lines are there. So this is the extension. And then what we do, we pour concrete in the mold. And when you pour the concrete will it will gain strength. And once it gains sufficient strength, then what we do, we remove the hydraulic jack force which is applied on the tensile tendon in this tendon. So as a result, this concrete and this tendon will both deform. So because this is eccentrically loaded, there will be some bending which is happening here. So that bending configuration is shown here. So the beam with the eccentric tendon will bend. So this is the deformed configuration. If there is no eccentricity, then what will happen? There will be pure compression happening in the beam, and the tendon also will have a straight configuration. But since there is eccentric loading, it is placed eccentrically, we'll have some bending. So this is the deformed configuration of the concrete beam, and this is the deformed configuration of the steel tendon. So what has happened here in the steel tendon, the force is now reduced, and it has become P subscript naught. Okay. So we want to find what is the relation between this P superscript naught and this P subscript naught. Okay. So to do that, we can assume any cross section area for for clarity we'll use a rectangular cross section with width b and height h, but we'll not use those numbers until later. And we have that steel tendon which is located which is away from the center of gravity of the cross section, and it's at a distance of y naught of s from the base. So in this problem we are treating the base origin to be located at the base. So we have the x-axis and the y-axis here, and this is the coordinate of the tendon y naught s. Okay, so the initial stress in the steel, so we will find out that. So initial stress will denote by sigma naught s, and that will be equal to the force in the steel bar by area of the steel bar. So that is P naught by AS. And then we can get the strain in the steel. So strain in steel by is sigma by E. So E of the steel. So epsilon is equal to sigma by E. So P naught by ES AS. Okay. So what happens after deformation? After deformation, the beam, there is a tendon is bent, and the force in the tendon is P subscript naught. So the final stress in the steel is sigma naught S, which is P naught by AS, and the strain will be P naught by ESAS. Okay. So what is happening here? At this location where the tendon is there, initially there is some tensile strain, and after that, if in the concrete adjacent to the tendon, there is zero strain. Okay, just if you go above and look at the stress, measure the stress in the concrete, there is no stress at this point of time. But during the bending process, what will happen? There is a reduction in tensile strain of the bar, and correspondingly there is a gain in the compressive strain in the concrete just adjacent to the steel bar. Okay, so we can say that the loss of strain in the tendon, okay, that is equal to the gain in compressive strain in concrete adjacent to this tendon. Okay, so that is the compatibility condition we will apply. Previously, when we applied the compatibility condition, there the tendon was concentric. As a result, whatever loss of strain in the steel was gain in concrete throughout the cross section. But here, the gain in that compressive strain is isolated, and it is it will be with reference to only the concrete at this level. Okay, concrete where the steel tendon is passing at that level, there is this gain in compressive strain, and that will be equal to the loss in compressive loss in tensile strain of the tendon. So we'll have that equation here. So loss of strain in steel, which is initial strain minus the final strain, that is equal to P naught minus P naught by ESAS, and this loss in strain of steel is equal to the gain in compressive strain in concrete at the level of the steel. Okay, so this is the compatibility condition. So we can write epsilon C is equal to P naught minus P naught by ESAS. Epsilon C refers to the concrete which is located at the level of the tendon. Okay, so now we'll go through some equations. Like we'll start with first principles and do the derivations. Okay, so the main our main purpose is to find out what is this P naught. Okay, so if you look here during the bending process, we can find the center of curvature of the beam, and that center of curvature is C. The center is C, and we can draw a radius. So the neutral axis is here, and the distance of the neutral axis from the center is R. And we assume that in mechanics of solids we have learned that the strain at the neutral axis is 0. So whatever length of the neutral axis will remain same before and after deformation. Okay, so using that concept, and then as we move upward, there will be above the neutral axis. Here for this problem, there will be a tensile strain, and if you move below the neutral axis, there will be a compressive strain. So we can find out that strain values in terms of R and the distance y. So that is what we'll do now. So strain in concrete. So the length of the neutral axis will be R times theta. Theta is the angle subtended at the center. And here the center is C, and this is a neutral axis. This distance is R, and length of the neutral axis is R theta. And length at a distance y above the neutral axis will be R plus y theta, and the strain at this level y will be change in length by the original length. So original length will be same as length of the neutral axis. So Ly minus Lna by Lna. So it will be y by R theta. So y refers to the distance above the neutral axis. So this is the strain in the concrete at a distance y above the neutral axis. So epsilon y is equal to y by R. So when y is above neutral axis, we have a tensile strain, and y is below the neutral axis, we have a compressive strain. Now we'll make a small change here. We are referring to the axis where the origin is at the base of the rectangle. So here our origin is here. So from here the distance of the neutral axis y naught Na, and the distance of that interest level of at the location where we want to find the strain is y naught. So the difference between these this y refers to y naught minus y naught na. So we can write strain at this location as y naught minus y naught na by r. So here we are referring everything to the origin. So this is the strain when you take the origin at the base, or if you take at the origin at the neutral axis, then it will be y by r. For this case, I'm using y naught minus y naught na by r with respect to the base. Maybe there is a simpler way to do what I'm doing right now. But maybe if I get some ideas, I'll tell you later. So for now, we'll proceed with this thing. So now we have found the strain values. So it is y naught minus y na by r. And then we can find the stress values. What is the stress? Sigma is equal to E epsilon. So sigma y is equal to E concrete times epsilon concrete. So E concrete times strain is y minus y na by r. So this is the stress in concrete. So if you are above the neutral axis, then it will be a positive quantity. So stress will be a tensile strain. And if it is below the neutral axis, there will be a negative quantity and it is a compressive strain. So we can plot the stress profile of the concrete here. So this is the neutral axis. So above the neutral axis, we have a tensile strain in the concrete, and below the neutral axis, we have a compressive strain. So for this problem, the pre-stressing strand is below the neutral axis. So there will be some force acting in that pre-stressing strand, and that force is still a tensile force because initially the large force is applied, and during the deformation the force is reduced to little smaller. There is a reduction in the force, but still the force is tensile here. So what we will do is we will draw the free body diagram for the rightmost end. So if you look here, we are holding this block between two rigid plates. Okay, so I am drawing the free body diagram for this rigid plate. So let's look at the rigid plate. So this is the force in the concrete. So on the rigid plate, what is happening? So on the rigid plate, at this point, the force is tensile. But on the plate itself, what will happening is the concrete will want to shrink at this point. So it will exert a pull force in the leftward direction. So it will exert opposite force. So if it is tensile here, then it will exert a force in the opposite direction. So the force is to the left. And similarly, if you look at the tendon here, the tendon is in a state of tension. So it will try to shrink. So on the plate, what will happen? It will try to pull the plate to the left. Okay, so that P naught is again acting to the left here. And here the concrete at the bottommost part is in compression. So what it will try to do, it will try to expand. And as a result, on the rigid plate, there will be some force acting to the right. Okay, so this is the free body diagram for the rigid plate. Now there is a simpler, now I found that we can do it in a very, I think probably in a simpler way, but since I have these slides, let's continue with this derivation. So we have a force P naught, which is acting at the level of the pre-stressing strand, and we have the tensile force and the compressive force, which here it is acting to the left, and there it is in the below the neutral axis is acting to the right. So we will write the force equilibrium equations and the moment equilibrium equations for this free body diagram for this plate. Okay, so the force equilibrium means that sum of all the forces in the horizontal direction is 0. So we have let's take x to the rightward direction. So we have minus P naught and minus sigma y dA, that is 0. So we can substitute instead of sigma y E epsilon. So E concrete into epsilon is y naught minus y minus y na by r. So we can simplify it further. So we can take EC by r common, and we have y naught dA minus y naught neutral axis times dA. So y naught neutral axis is fixed for this specific force. So we can find out, we can simplify it further, and we have this minus P naught is we can send this term to the right hand side, and we get minus P naught is equal to EC by r integral y naught dA minus y naught na times a. Okay, so this is one equation. Just 1 minute. Someone is. I'm in the class. Okay, so yeah, we have this equation. Now let's look at the cross-section area and see how we can simplify this equation. So we have the origin at the base and y-axis going in this direction. Let's find the center of gravity of this rectangular area. It is g, which is at a height of h by 2. So we'll say the location of the centroid from the origin is y naught g, and location of the neutral axis is y na. So we have the centroid formula, center of gravity for the area cross section. Integral y dA by a is equal to yg. So integral y dA is a times yg. So instead of y naught dA, we substitute a y naught g. So we get this equation. Minus p naught is equal to ec by r, a y naught g minus a y naught neutral axis. Okay, so let's call this equation as equation 1. So this equation we got by doing the force equilibrium. So we sum up all the forces in the horizontal direction, and then we got this equation. So here in this equation, what are the unknowns? P subscript naught is unknown, r is unknown, and neutral axis is also unknown. We don't know where the neutral axis is located. So there are 3 unknowns. So we have only one equation now. We need another 2 more equations to find all the unknowns. Okay. So second equation we will do is the compatibility equation. Second equation is the moment equilibrium equation. So let's do the moment equilibrium here. So we have our rigid plate. There is this tensile force acting to the left and compressive force acting to the right here, and this tensile force in the tendon P naught. So this is the rectangular cross section with the axis shown. So we can find out moment about the origin here. So that's what we are doing here. Moment about the origin. So P naught will produce a anti-clockwise moment, and sigma y we are assuming it's to be positive about neutral axis, and it will produce a positive moment. So we have P naught into ys and sigma dA into y naught. So this entire thing will be produced in the anti-clockwise direction. So that entire sum will be 0. So we can simplify this sigma y as E epsilon. So E by R y minus yna into yda. And then we will send this entire term to the other side, and we get P naught ys is equal to minus E by R. So y naught into y naught y square. So y square dA, and y neutral axis will take it. It's a constant. We'll take it out, and we have y naught dA. Okay, so what do we have here? We have integral y naught square dA and integral y naught dA. So let's look at the area and see how we can simplify these 2 terms. So if you look at that area, so y naught square dA means we are having moment of inertia of this small elemental area about this axis. So integral y naught square dA is I naught xx. Similarly, what is y naught dA? We already done that. It will be a times distance of centroid. So a times y naught g. So we simplify this equation further. We get P y naught s is equal to minus EC by R I naught xx. So moment of inertia of this area about the x-axis minus y naught NO a y naught g. Okay, so y naught dA we replace it a y naught g. So let's call this equation 2a. And what we do, we can do one more thing. We can write the moment equilibrium equation about the neutral axis. So that is what we are doing here. Moment about the neutral axis. So now what will happen is neutral axis is above and steel is below. So this moment will be in the in the clockwise direction. So what we have a minus P naught into y naught neutral axis minus ys. So that is, we are indicating that by the minus sign. And then the stress will produce again anti-clockwise moment. So it will be plus sigma y dA y naught minus y neutral axis. So we'll send this term to the left hand side, and we get P into y naught neutral axis minus ys is equal to EC by R. And instead of sigma y, we substitute this expression y naught minus y naught Na by R. Okay, so this is the stress value at the height at a y distance y above the neutral axis. So we'll get EC by R integral y naught minus yna square dA. So what is this y minus yna square dA? That is moment of inertia of this cross section with respect to the neutral axis. So that is what we have, I na xx. So P naught into YNA minus YS is equal to EC by R INA XX. So still I'm writing this equation as 2B because we are using only moment equilibrium to find out to get two equations. Means these two equations should be equivalent. We will not get any extra information from this. Only for algebraic purpose, I'm deriving this equation. So I denote this first equation as 2A and second equation as 2B. Okay, so for moment equilibrium, what we did moment equilibrium about O and moment equilibrium about Na, and we got two equations. Okay, and the two equations we express in terms of moment of inertia about O and moment of inertia about the neutral axis. So this is regarding the second set of equations. And we need one more equation, that is a compatibility condition. So we already discussed the loss of strain in steel at the level of loss of strain in steel is equal to the gain in compressive strain in concrete at the steel level. Okay, so if you just calculate tensile strain in steel at the level of tensile strain in concrete at the level of steel, it will be YS minus YNA. But we are looking to the compressive strain, so just we have to reverse that signs and we get YNA minus YS by R. That is a compressive strain in steel at the level of steel. Compressive strain in concrete at the level of steel. So we the loss of strain in steel is P naught minus P naught by ES AS is equal to YNA minus Y naught S by R. So we have now three equations and three unknowns. What are the three unknowns? First one is P naught, force after transfer. Second one is the R value, which is the radius of curvature, and YNA, the neutral axis. So three equations are there and three unknowns are there. We have to find the three unknowns. So we'll do the derivation next. So I'll just take a small break and come. Okay, so let's come back to the derivation. So we have three equations: equation 1, equation 2a, equation 2b, equation 3. Okay, so from equation 2b and 3, we write the expression for R. So here we have equation 2b is here. So we write 1 by R is equal to P naught Y neutral axis minus YS by EC I neutral axis. Okay, so that's what we are writing here. 1 by R is P naught YNA minus Y naught by YS by EC I neutral axis. And this 1 by R we substitute the value of 1 by R we substitute here. Y neutral axis minus YS by R. So what will happen is we'll get P naught minus P naught by ES AS is equal to P naught by EC. There is already YNA minus Y naught S, so we will get a square term. So YNA minus Y naught S square by this term. Okay. And what we will send ES AS to the right hand side. So we get P naught minus P naught is equal to ES by EC. So Young's modulus of steel by Young's modulus of concrete times area of steel into Y naught Na minus Y naught S whole square by I neutral axis XX, that is moment of inertia of the rectangular area above the neutral axis times P naught. So we'll send the P naught to the right and we take P naught common. So we'll get 1 plus instead of ES by EC, I will replace it with the modular ratio M. So ratio M is equal to Young's modulus of steel by Young's modulus of concrete. So we get MAS and Y naught Na minus Y naught S square by I neutral axis XX. So what we can do, we will send this I neutral axis to the numerator and sum up, and then entire sum will send it to the denominator here to the right hand side, to the left hand side. So we'll get P naught by INA XX plus MAS into Y naught Na minus Y naught S whole square is equal to P naught by INA XX. Okay, so we are now relating P naught with the initial force P naught with the final force after transfer. But here again we have that unknown y naught na. So we need to find out how to get that y naught na. So to do that, we will use equation 1 and equation 2a. So this is equation 1, p naught y naught s, which is this is equation 2, obtained from the moment equilibrium, and this is equation 1, which is obtained from the force equilibrium. So to eliminate unknowns are p naught r, so we divide LHS by this equation by this equation. So left hand side will become y naught s, and right hand side will get this term I naught xx minus a y na by g, and in the denominator we get a yg minus a1 a by na. So we want to find the unknown yna, so we'll send this equation to the right and then take the yna term common. So you will get a ys yg minus a ys yna I naught xx minus a yna yg. And if we want to take yna common, so we have this term and this term has yna, so we'll send this term to the left hand side. We get yna into, and we first divide this entire thing by a, and then we'll send this term to the left hand side. So we get yna into yg minus ys is equal to I naught by a minus ys yg. So this ys yg we are sending to the right hand side, so it will become minus ys yg. So the y neutral axis we get as I naught by a minus ys yg by yg minus ys. Okay. So left hand side is unknown, right hand side everything is known. For the rectangular cross section, what is I naught? We can find out. Or for any cross section about the base, we can find out. What is the area of the cross section? We can find out. What is the location of the centroid? What is the location of the centroid? Yg we can find out from the centroid formula. Ys, what is the location of the steel from the base? We can find out. Ys, yeah. So everything is known here, and we can find out this yna value. Once you find this yna value, then we just substitute that yna value here and get the relation between the initial force and the final force after transfer. Okay, so there's one more equation I derived, but I have not shown it here. For the purpose of the problem, we'll use these two equations and solve. Okay. We'll do a numerical now. So we have here a rectangular concrete cross section with width 200 millimeters, height 300 millimeters. So the pre-stressing strand is of area 500 millimeters square. So initially a force, a stress of 1050 Newton per millimeter square is applied on the pre-stressing strand, and then we pour the concrete, and concrete becomes hardens, and then we remove the hydraulic jack force, and then there will be deformation, and final force of transfer of force has taken place. Okay, so the modular ratio M is 6. We need to find what is the stress in the steel after the transfer of force. Okay, so the location of the pre-stressing strand is given. It is at a distance of 100 millimeters from the bottom. So very simple. We'll have to apply those two formulas. So first thing is we look at the area of cross section, and we take the origin at the base, and we have the y-axis. We can locate the center of gravity. We'll locate the pre-stressing strand, which is at y naught s from the bottom. So center of gravity is at a distance y naught g, which is, for this case, rectangular cross section, it will be h by 2. So let's find out what is I naught xx. So I naught is moment of inertia of this rectangle about the base. So that is bh cube by 3. So it is 18 into, so 200 into 300 cube by 3. So 27 by 3, it is 9. 27 by 3 is 9. 9 into 2, 18. So 18 into 10 power 8 millimeter power 4. Then what is the area of this concrete rectangular area? Area of pre-stressing strand is 500. So we have to subtract it actually. And when you do this calculation also, we have to take care of the small hole, but I'm neglecting it. So I'm putting an approximate, like I'm putting it like this. And area of concrete is actually BH minus area of steel. Area of steel is 500, and if you see BH value, it is 200 into 300. It is 6 into 10 power 4. So that 500 is very negligible compared to this value. So I'm just writing 6 into 10 power 4. Now YG value is h by 2. Approximately, yeah, it is 150 millimeters, and y naught s is 100. So with this we can use equation 5. Equation 5 is it will give the expression for neutral axis location. So I naught by a minus ys yg by yg minus ys. So 18 into 10 power 8 by 6 into 10 power 4 minus 100 into 150 by 150 minus 100, or 150 into 100 by 150 minus 100, 150 into 100 by the difference. So if you simplify, it will be around 300. So the neutral axis is lying at a distance of 300 millimeters from the base. Okay, from here it is lying at a distance of 300, which happens to be the base, which happens to be the height of the rectangular cross section. So let's look at that figure. So we have that rectangular cross section, and the neutral axis location is at now this position. So this happens to coincide with the top of the rectangular cross section. So we want to find what is I neutral axis, moment of inertia of this rectangular cross section about the neutral axis. So again, because it happens to be that coincides with that line, so we can directly apply the formula bh cube by 3. So it is 18 into 10 power 8 millimeter per 4. And then we can calculate this MAS into y neutral axis minus ys. That formula in the equation 4, this is the equation 4. So first term we will calculate is this one, and second term we will calculate is this one. So first term is bh cube by 3, and second term is MAS into YNA minus YS square. So y neutral axis is 300, YS is 100. So we're getting 1.2 into 10 power 8. So if you sum up this, we'll get 19.2 into 10 power 8. So P naught is the initial stress in steel, which is 1050 times area of steel. And this sum is 19.2 into 10 power 8. And here the final stress in steel, P naught by INA, which is 18 into 10 power 8. So we can cancel, we can find out sigma naught S. So it will be 18 by 19.2 into the sigma naught initial stress. So it is coming around 984.4. So this is the force which is transferred to the steel. Okay, and let's look at this problem more. How to interpret this result? So what we are having is, we are having the neutral axis coinciding with the top section of the beam, top portion of the beam. So that means entire concrete is in a state of entire concrete area is below the neutral axis. That means all the concrete is in a state of compression. Okay. After force has been transferred, the concrete is in a state of compression. Entire concrete is in a state of compression. And if you draw the free body diagram for the rigid plate, so yeah, on the concrete there is a compressive force. On the plate there will be a tensile. On the plate there will be a force acting to the rightward direction. Okay, because it is in a compressive force, the concrete will try to push out. So that pushing out is indicated by this arrows in the rightward direction. And here the tensile force is in the steel, and it will try to shrink. So that shrink is exerted as to the left on the plate. So this is the state of stress in concrete, or this is the state of stress in concrete. And on the rigid plate, this is the state of stress, and this is the force coming from the tendon. So for this specific problem, what has happened is, this P naught is lying at 100 millimeters from the bottom. The height of this is 300 millimeters. So it is lying exactly at a half the base of the height. Okay, 1/3 of the height. So y naught S is h by 3. So since the tendon force is acting at 1/3 the height, for this case, what has happened is, the top fiber is in has zero stress, and the bottom fiber has the maximum compressive stress. Okay. If you move further down, what will happen? Then this fiber might go into tensile mode. If you go further up, what will happen? I don't know. Yeah, for this case, yeah, the top fiber has gone into zero tension. And probably if you move up, then it will become a trapezium. And if you move down, then again this part will go into tension. Okay. So if the tendon is acting below the height h by 3, then probably it will go into, this top fiber will go into tension. But if it lies above h by 3, then this part again will be in compression with a little higher force. Okay. So this is how we can interpret the result. And if you look at the formula, we can substitute that I by A minus YC YG by YC minus YG. So BH cube by 3 by BH minus YC is h by 2, YG is h by 3. So we'll get h square by 3 minus h square by 6 by h by 6. So This is again h square by 6, we'll get h. So y neutral axis happens to coincide with the top fiber. Okay, so this is the application of those two formulas, and we can get the answers for the force after the force which is transferred. Okay, and we can also get the stress profile in the concrete. So there is a simpler way to do this. So when I got this number, I was very happy. I was very excited because it was matching with that second approach to solve the same problem. Okay,